The air on Kesh 7 smelled like oil and burnt metal. Dae Sung walked through the crowded market streets, keeping his hand close to the weapon on his belt. Around him, aliens of every shape and size haggled over goods that would be illegal in any civilized system. He had been to plenty of bad places in his years as a mercenary, but this station always made his skin crawl. He was here for one thing: weapons. Good ones, the kind that could punch through military-grade armor. His next job required firepower, and the black market was the only place to get what he needed without asking too many questions. Dae Sung pushed past a group of 6 armed traders and found the warehouse he was looking for. The sign above the door was written in 12 different languages. All of them said the same thing: Vexthor's Arsenal. Inside, the warehouse stretched back into shadows. Weapons lined the walls: plasma rifles, kinetic cannons, devices Dae Sung couldn't even name. A tall alien with gray skin and too many eyes approached him. This was Vexthor. "Human," the alien said, his voice like grinding rocks. "You have credits?" "I have credits," Dae Sung replied. "I need plasma core weapons, 3 rifles, military grade." Vexthor's multiple eyes blinked in sequence. "Expensive, very expensive for human." "I can pay." The alien led him deeper into the warehouse. They passed racks of ammunition and crates marked with warning symbols. Vexthor stopped at a display of sleek black rifles. He lifted one and showed it to Dae Sung. "Kelthrin military issue, stolen from armory last cycle. Very powerful." Dae Sung examined the weapon. It was good, maybe too good. The price would drain most of his savings. He was about to agree when Vexthor made a clicking sound with his throat. "But perhaps," the alien said slowly, "human wants something else, something special." "I need weapons, not trinkets." "This is weapon." Vexthor's eyes gleamed. "Better than rifle. Come, I show you." Against his better judgment, Dae Sung followed. They went to the back of the warehouse, past a heavy door that required 3 different locks. Beyond was a smaller room with reinforced walls. In the center stood a cage made of thick metal bars. Inside the cage was a girl. Dae Sung stopped walking. She was human. Young, maybe in her 20s. She sat on the floor with her back against the wall. But something was wrong. Her head was completely enclosed in metal. A cage within a cage. The metal covered her entire head like a helmet, but it wasn't a helmet. It was sealed shut with no visible locks or seams. Small slits allowed her to see. Tiny holes near where her mouth would be let her breathe. Her hands were bound in the same material. It looked like someone had dipped them in liquid metal that had hardened into smooth, unbreakable gloves. "What is this?" Dae Sung's voice came out harder than he intended. "Is weapon," Vexthor said. "Human weapon. Very rare, very dangerous." The girl's eyes moved behind the slits in her metal cage. She was looking at him. Dae Sung saw intelligence there, and fear. "Explain," he demanded. Vexthor circled the cage like a merchant showing off livestock. "This one was captured 7 cycles ago. Outer Colony World. Kelthrin Empire found her after she destroyed military cruiser. With bare hands. No weapons, just her." "That's impossible." "Is human. Humans are impossible." Vexthor tapped the metal cage around her head. "Kelthrin made this. Strongest alloy in galaxy. They put it on her to contain what is inside. Without cage, she is too dangerous. With cage, she is perfect weapon. Strong, obedient, never dies." Dae Sung felt sick. "You're selling a person." "Selling weapon," Vexthor corrected. "And giving good price. Half cost of plasma rifles. Great deal for human buyer." "Why would anyone buy this?" The alien's eyes narrowed. "Because she cannot be killed. Kelthrin tried. Cannot be hurt. Cannot escape. Cage keeps her quiet. Keeps dangerous parts sleeping. But strength remains. Perfect for heavy labor. Perfect for fighting. Perfect for anything human buyer wants. Dae-sung looked at the girl again. She hadn't moved. Couldn't move much in the restraints. But her eyes stayed on him. He had seen plenty of horrors in his career. Had done things he wasn't proud of. But this was different. This was one of his own people, trapped and sold like cargo. "The cage," he said. "It comes off?" Vexthor made a sound like laughing. "No, never remove cage. Is permanent, is part of the sale. Buy her, keep cage on. Very important. Warning comes with purchase. Never remove it. Very dangerous to remove it. But it could be removed. Should not be removed. Will not be removed. Is built to be forever." The alien leaned closer. "Human buyer wants to free her? Bad idea. Cage is there for reason. Without it, she will kill everyone, even you." Dae-sung stood silent for a long moment. He had come here for weapons. He had a job to do. Taking this girl would be stupid. It would drain his credits. It would raise questions. And if what Vexthor said was true, it might be dangerous. But he kept looking at her eyes. 7 cycles. 7 years in that cage. Unable to speak. Unable to touch anything. Barely able to see. Displayed and sold like an animal. He thought about walking away. About buying the rifles and forgetting he had seen this. But he knew he wouldn't forget. He would see those eyes every time he closed his own. "How much?" he asked. Vexthor named a price. It was high, but less than the weapons would have cost. Dae-sung had enough. Barely. "She comes with me, now. Human buyer is certain. No refunds, no returns, and remember, never remove the cage." "I'm certain." Credits changed hands. Vexthor opened the outer cage. The girl stood slowly, unsteady on her feet. She was thin. Too thin. Her clothes were little more than rags. The alien attached a chain to a loop on her metal restraints and handed the end to Dae-sung like a leash. Dae-sung felt the weight of it in his hand and hated everything about this moment. But he took it. He led her out of the warehouse, through the market, and back to his ship. People stared as they passed. Some aliens gave him approving looks, as if he had made a good purchase. Others looked afraid of what he was leading. The girl stumbled once. Dae-sung caught her arm and helped her walk. She flinched at his touch but didn't pull away. When they reached his ship, the Taeguk, he led her inside and closed the door behind them. The moment they were alone, he dropped the chain. "I'm not going to hurt you," he said. "I'm going to get that thing off your head." She just stared at him through the slits in her metal prison. She couldn't speak, couldn't nod, but something in her eyes changed, just a little. It might have been hope. The ship's interior was quiet, except for the hum of life support systems. Dae-sung guided the girl to the small medical bay and helped her sit on the examination table. She moved carefully, as if her body had forgotten how to work properly. 7 years in that cage. He couldn't imagine it. He pulled up a chair and sat in front of her. Up close, he could see more details of the metal prison around her head. It was smooth and perfectly fitted to her skull. No welds, no joints, just seamless metal that shouldn't exist. "My name is Dae-sung," he said. "I know you can't talk, but can you understand me?" She nodded. The movement was stiff, limited by the weight of the cage. "Good. Okay." He grabbed a data pad from the counter. "I'm going to ask you questions. Blink once for yes, twice for no. Can you do that?" 1 blink. He started simple. "Are you hurt?" 2 blinks. "Are you from one of the human colonies?" 1 blink. "Do you know which one?" 1 blink. This was too slow. He pulled up a star map on the pad and held it where she could see through the slits. "Point with your eyes. Look at your home colony." Her eyes moved across the map and stopped. Frontier Station Hana, one of the outer rim settlements, small, maybe 2,000 people. He had heard something about it years ago, a raid or an attack. The details were fuzzy. "Hana Station," he said. "What happened there?" Her whole body tensed. Even through the restraints, he could see her breathing change. "It's okay. You don't have to answer that." He changed direction. "How long have you been in this cage?" She couldn't answer in blinks. He held up fingers. "More than 5 years?" One blink. "More than 7?" Two blinks. 7 years, then. Just like the alien had said. Dae-sung felt anger building in his chest. 7 years of this, and he had only seen her by accident. "Has anyone tried to remove it before?" Two blinks. "Do you know how they put it on?" One blink, then her eyes moved down toward the datapad. He held it up and opened a text program. "Can you write?" She looked at her metal-encased hands. Of course not. The restraints made her fingers useless. He cursed himself for being stupid. "Wait." He stood and rummaged through a supply cabinet. He found a small laser pointer used for presentations. He came back and activated it. "I'll hold this. You move your eyes to letters on the screen. Blink when you want me to select one." It was slow, painfully slow. But it worked. Letter by letter, she spelled out words. Kelthrin put it on. Don't remember how. Woke up like this. "The Kelthrin Empire did this," Dae-sung said. "Why?" "They said I was dangerous." "You destroyed a cruiser according to the alien. Did you?" Long pause. Then, "Don't remember. Station was attacked. People died." Then cage. Dae-sung sat back. Something wasn't adding up. A young colonist destroys a military cruiser with her bare hands, but she doesn't remember doing it. Then the Kelthrin, one of the most powerful empires in the galaxy, captures her and seals her in an unbreakable cage instead of just killing her. "I'm going to try to get this off you," he said. "It might take time, but I promise I'll get it off." She went very still. Then, slowly, she spelled, "Vexthor said never remove it. Vexthor is a slaver. I don't take orders from slavers." Dae-sung went to his tool locker and pulled out every cutting device he owned. Plasma torch, molecular saw, kinetic hammer. He started with the torch. The blue flame licked against the metal. Nothing happened, not even a scorch mark. He increased the heat. The torch was hot enough to cut through ship hulls. The metal didn't even warm up. He tried the molecular saw next. It was designed to cut at the atomic level. The blade screamed when it touched the cage, throwing sparks, but left no mark, not even a scratch. The kinetic hammer was last. He set it to its lowest setting and tapped the metal carefully, not wanting to hurt her. The hammer bounced off like he was hitting rubber. He increased the power. The impacts made the whole cage ring like a bell, but the metal didn't dent, didn't crack, didn't do anything. After an hour, Dae-sung sat down, sweating and frustrated. "I don't understand. This shouldn't be possible. No material is this strong." The girl had sat perfectly still the entire time, letting him work. Now she spelled out, "Told you." "I'm not giving up. There has to be a way." He pulled out his scanner and ran it over the cage. Maybe he could find a weakness, a seam, a power source, something. The scanner beeped. Data flooded the screen. Dae-sung's eyes widened. "There's something inside the cage, a device." He studied the readout. "It's injecting something into you, and it's transmitting a signal." He worked quickly, trying to decrypt the signal. His ship's computer struggled with it. The encryption was military grade. Kelthrin military. But he had good software. Expensive software. The kind you bought on stations like Kesh 7. After 20 minutes, the computer broke through. The signal was a warning beacon. It broadcasted continuously on a frequency used by Kelthrin military vessels. Dae-sung read the translated text and felt cold. "Cognitive hazard contained. Class non-human. Do not release. Do not engage psychically. Lethal force authorized upon breach." "Cognitive hazard," he muttered. "Not physical. They're not afraid of you being strong. They're afraid of something else." The girl leaned forward. He showed her the screen. Her eyes moved across the words. Do you know what this means? He asked. 2 blinks. No. Class 9. That's a threat level. That's what they use for weapons of mass destruction. And they're warning about psychic engagement. He looked at her. Do you have psychic abilities? 2 blinks. But she seemed uncertain. Dae-sung pulled up his communication system. I need to contact someone. A friend who might understand this better than I do. He sent an encrypted message to Dr. Hyun-woo, a xenobiologist he had worked with years ago. The doctor was smart, trustworthy, and he specialized in studying differences between species. The response came 3 hours later. Hyun-woo agreed to meet them, but insisted they come to his research station. He said what Dae-sung had described was too important to discuss over any channel, even encrypted ones. Dae-sung set course for Sejong Research Station. It would take 2 days to get there. He showed the girl to the small passenger cabin. It had a bed and a small bathroom, basic but clean. You can stay here, he said. The door doesn't lock from the outside. You're not a prisoner. She moved into the room and looked around. He realized she probably hadn't seen a real room in 7 years, just cages and cargo holds. I'll bring you food, and I'll keep working on getting that cage off. He paused at the door. What's your name? I should know your name. She moved to the data pad he had left in the room. Slowly, she spelled it out. Ji-won. Ji-won, he repeated. I'm going to help you, Ji-won. I promise. She looked at him for a long moment, then she spelled, why? It was a good question. Why had he bought her? Why was he risking everything for a stranger? He could have walked away, should have walked away. Because it's the right thing to do, he said finally, and because no one deserves what they did to you. He left her alone and went to the cockpit. The stars stretched ahead, distorted by faster-than-light travel. 2 days to Sejong Station. 2 days to find answers. Behind him, in the small cabin, Ji-won sat on the bed. She couldn't cry through the cage, couldn't make a sound. But for the first time in 7 years, she didn't feel completely alone. And somewhere in the back of her metal prison, buried under drugs and suppression and years of hopelessness, something very old and very dangerous began to wake up. Sejong Research Station orbited a quiet blue star far from any major shipping lanes. It was small compared to places like Kesh 7, but it was clean and legal. Scientists from a dozen species worked here, studying everything from stellar formation to alien biology. Dae-sung docked his ship and led Ji-won through the station corridors. People stared. A human in a head cage was impossible to miss, but no one tried to stop them. This was a research station. Strange things happened here every day. Dr. Hyun-woo met them at his laboratory. He was older than Dae-sung remembered, with gray in his hair and tired eyes. But his expression was sharp and alert. Bring her in, quickly! He sealed the door behind them and activated a privacy field. No one can listen now. Show me! Dae-sung guided Ji-won to an examination chair. Hyun-woo circled her slowly, studying the cage from every angle. He pulled out scanning equipment and ran tests. His frown deepened with each readout. This is Kelthrin work, high-level military technology. He pointed to the seamless metal. This was grown, not built. Molecular assembly. They grew this cage around her head at the atomic level. That's why you can't cut it. It's not metal in the traditional sense. It's a crystal matrix that mimics metal properties. Can you remove it? Dae-sung asked. Maybe, but that's not the important question. Hyun-woo pulled up the scan results on a large screen. The important question is why they put it on her in the first place. He showed them images of Ji-won's brain, or rather, what the scanner could see through the cage. There were markers, chemical traces, electromagnetic patterns. She's being drugged constantly, Hyun-woo said. The cage has micro-injectors. They're pumping neural suppressants into her system every hour, keeping her in a fog, keeping her docile. Dae-sung felt his jaw tighten. For 7 years? For 7 years. Hyun-woo sat down heavily. And there's more. I need to tell you something. Something that most humans don't know. Something the major galactic powers have been hiding. He pulled up a new file. It was marked with security warnings and classification stamps. 20 years ago, during First Contact, the alien powers discovered something about humanity. Something that terrified them. What? Dae-sung asked. Humans are psionic. Silence filled the lab. Ji-won went very still in her chair. That's impossible, Dae-sung said. There's no such thing as psychic powers. That's fantasy. It's real, but rare. Hyun-woo stood and paced. Maybe 1 in every 10,000 humans has the potential. Most never develop it. They live normal lives and die without ever knowing what they could have been. But sometimes, under extreme stress or trauma, the ability awakens. He pulled up more files. Videos, reports. They showed humans doing impossible things. Moving objects without touching them. Knowing things they shouldn't know. Surviving things that should have killed them. The galactic powers built their civilizations on technology, Hyun-woo continued. Their ships, their weapons, their empires. All technology. But psionics, that's something technology can't defend against. That's power from the mind itself. And humans are the only known species that has it. So, they've been hunting us? Dae-sung asked. Not openly. They can't risk war with Earth. We're still a minor power, but we have numbers, billions of humans. If we all knew the truth, if we started training people with the potential... Hyun-woo shook his head. No. Instead, they hunt quietly. They identify awakened humans and eliminate them. Or cage them. Dae-sung looked at Ji-won. Hana Station. That attack wasn't a raid. They were looking for her. Probably. Or they found her by accident and realized what she was. Hyun-woo pulled up the warning message from the cage. Class 9. That's their highest threat rating. This girl is considered more dangerous than a nuclear weapon. But she doesn't remember doing anything, Dae-sung said. Because of the drugs, the cage keeps her suppressed. It keeps her power buried so deep she can't even remember having it. Hyun-woo turned to Ji-won. If we remove the cage, the drugs stop. You'll be able to think clearly for the first time in 7 years, but your abilities will come back, and we don't know what will happen. Ji-won stared at him through the slits in her metal prison. Then she reached for the data pad. Slowly, she spelled, "Do it." It could be dangerous, Hyun-woo warned. You might not be able to control it at first. You might hurt us, hurt yourself. Don't care, she spelled. Want it off. Dae-sung put his hand on her shoulder. If you're sure. One blink. Yes. Hyun-woo sighed. Then we do it. But carefully. The cage has a power source, a small reactor built into the base of the skull. If I can disrupt it, the whole thing will shut down. The molecular bonds will weaken. It should fall apart on its own. Should? Dae-sung asked. This isn't an exact science. I've never done this before. No one has. Hyun-woo prepared his equipment. When the cage comes off, she's going to be disoriented. 7 years of drugs flooding her system will end all at once. Her mind will be clear, but her body will need time to adjust. I understand. And if her abilities manifest, stay calm. Don't startle her. Don't make sudden moves. Awakened humans respond to emotions. If she feels threatened, bad things could happen. Dae-sung nodded. He stepped back to give Hyun-woo room to work. The doctor attached a device to the back of Ji-won's cage. It hummed softly. Lights flickered across its surface as it analyzed the power source inside. Then it sent a pulse, an electromagnetic disruption designed to overload the reactor. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the cage made a sound. A deep groan of metal under stress. Cracks appeared in the surface, hairline fractures that spread like a spiderweb. Ji-won gasped. It was the first sound Dae-sung had heard her make. The cage split. Pieces fell away. First the top, Then the sides. The metal restraints around her hands cracked and crumbled. 7 years of imprisonment fell to the floor in shattered fragments. Ji-won collapsed forward. Dae-sung caught her before she hit the ground. She was shaking, gasping. Her face was pale and covered in scars from where the cage had pressed against her skin. "Breathe," he said. "Just breathe." She sucked in air like she was drowning. Her hands came up to touch her face, her own face. She felt her skin, her hair, her mouth. Tears ran down her cheeks. "Thank you," she whispered. Her voice was rough from years of disuse. "Thank you." "You're free now," Dae-sung said. "No." Ji-won looked up at him. Her eyes were clear now, sharp, alert. "They're coming. They know the beacon stopped. They'll come." "How do you know that?" Hyun-woo asked. "I can feel them. Ships, 3 of them. They're close, getting closer." She stood on shaky legs. "We need to run. Now!" Dae-sung looked at Hyun-woo. The doctor was checking his instruments. His face went pale. "She's right. 3 Kelthran warships just dropped out of FTL. They're hailing the station, demanding we turn over the asset." He looked at Ji-won. "You. They want you back." Alarms began to sound throughout the station. An automated voice announced that the station was under military lockdown. All personnel were to remain in place. "The beacon," Dae-sung said. "It must have sent an alert when it went offline." "Then we need to go." Ji-won moved toward the door. She was weak but determined. "I won't let them put me back in that cage." "They won't," Dae-sung promised. He grabbed Hyun-woo's arm. "Come with us. You can't stay here. They'll know you helped." The doctor hesitated only a moment. Then he nodded and grabbed a bag of emergency supplies. They ran through the corridors. Behind them, they could hear the sound of docking clamps engaging. The Kelthran were boarding the station. Soldiers would be spreading through the levels, searching for Ji-won. They reached the Taeguk just as the first Kelthran squad rounded the corner. The aliens saw them and raised their weapons. "Stop!" the squad leader commanded. Ji-won turned to face them. She raised her hand. Not threatening, just raised it. The soldiers froze. Not because they wanted to, because they couldn't move. Their weapons locked in place, their armor seized up like it had suddenly become too heavy to wear. One by one, they collapsed to the ground, unconscious. "I'm not doing it on purpose," Ji-won said, horrified. "It's just happening. Get on the ship." Dae-sung pulled her through the airlock. Hyun-woo sealed the door behind them. Dae-sung ran to the cockpit and started the launch sequence. Outside, more soldiers were arriving. The station was denying him permission to launch. Kelthran warships were positioning themselves to block his escape. "Hold on," he said, and punched the engines. The Taeguk tore away from Sejong Station with engines screaming. Dae-sung pushed the ship hard, ignoring the alarms that flashed across his console. Behind them, the station's automated defenses powered up, but didn't fire. They were a research station, not a military base. They had weapons, but using them would mean casualties. The Kelthran had no such hesitation. 3 warships moved to intercept. They were massive compared to the Taeguk, built for war, covered in weapons, and fast despite their size. The lead ship fired a warning shot that streaked past the cockpit window. "They want us to stop," Hyun-woo said from the co-pilot seat. He had strapped in and was monitoring the sensors. "If we don't, the next shot won't be a warning." "I know." Dae-sung activated the ship's communication system. A Kelthran face appeared on the screen. The alien's features were sharp and angular, with skin like polished stone. "Human vessel," the Kelthran commander said. "You are carrying stolen property. Return it immediately or be destroyed." "Stolen property?" Dae-sung's voice was hard. "You mean the person you imprisoned and drugged for 7 years? The asset is a classified security threat. Its release endangers every species in this sector. Return it now. This is your final warning." Dae-sung looked back through the cockpit door. Ji-won sat in the main cabin, her head in her hands. She was still weak from the cage removal, still trying to remember how to be human instead of cargo. "No," Dae-sung said. "Find another slave to torture." He cut the transmission and threw the ship into a hard turn. The Kelthrin warships opened fire. Energy beams lit up space around them. The Taeguk's shields flared, absorbing hits. But shields didn't last forever. Dae-sung dove under the station, using its bulk as cover. The warships pursued, firing steadily. "Shields at 60%, Hyun-woo called out. "We can't take much more of this." "I know. I'm trying to get us to the jump point." Dae-sung pulled up the navigation display. They needed to reach a point far enough from the station's gravity well to engage the faster-than-light drive, but the Kelthrin were cutting them off, driving them away from escape routes. Another impact rocked the ship. Sparks flew from a console. The lights flickered. "Shields at 40%. We're not going to make it." Ji-won appeared in the cockpit doorway. She held onto the frame to keep steady. Her face was pale, but her eyes were focused. "Let me help." "You need to rest," Dae-sung said. "I need to do something." She moved closer, looking out at the pursuing warships. "I can feel them. The ships. The people inside them. They're afraid of me." "Ji-won, you don't know how to control this yet." "Then I'll learn." She put her hand on the back of Dae-sung's chair. "Just keep flying. I'll do the rest." Before he could argue, she closed her eyes. The air in the cockpit seemed to change. It felt heavier, charged, like the moment before a lightning strike. Outside, the lead Kelthrin warship fired a missile. It streaked toward them, guidance systems locked on. The Taeguk couldn't dodge in time. The missile would hit in seconds. Ji-won opened her eyes. The missile stopped, not exploded, not veered off course, just stopped. It hung in space like someone had hit a pause button on reality. Then it slowly turned around and pointed back at the ship that fired it. The Kelthrin commander's voice came over the radio, panicked. "Cease fire! All ships cease fire!" Too late. The missile continued turning. Its engine reignited. It shot back toward the warship that launched it. The Kelthrin ship tried to shoot it down, but their weapons wouldn't fire. Every gun, every defense system, all of it simply refused to work. The missile struck the warship's shield generator. The explosion was massive. The ship listed to one side, shields down, engines stuttering. "I didn't mean to do that," Ji-won said. She was breathing hard. Blood dripped from her nose. "I just wanted it to stop. It just stopped." "You saved us," Dae-sung said. The other two warships backed off, putting distance between themselves and the Taeguk. They weren't retreating, but they weren't attacking either. They had just watched their lead ship get hit by its own weapon without anyone touching it. "Shields are regenerating," Hyun-woo said. He stared at Ji-won with a mixture of awe and fear. "Whatever you did, it bought us time." "I need to sit down." Ji-won stumbled back toward the cabin. Dae-sung jumped up and caught her before she fell. "Easy. You pushed too hard." "I don't know what I'm doing. It's like there's this thing inside me that wants out, and I can barely hold it back." She looked up at him with frightened eyes. "What if I hurt you? What if I can't control it?" "You won't hurt us. You're trying to save us. That matters." He helped her to a seat and got her water. She drank it shakily. The blood from her nose had stopped, but she looked exhausted. Hyun-woo called from the cockpit. "Dae-sung, we have a problem." He went back to the controls. The sensor display showed more ships arriving. Not Kelthrin this time. These were smaller, faster. Pirates probably, or scavengers drawn by the fighting. "Word travels fast out here," Hyun-woo said. "They know something valuable is on this ship." "Great. Just what we need." Dae-sung checked their position. They were close to the jump point now. Another few minutes and they could escape. "Can we make it before they intercept?" "Barely, if nothing else goes wrong." Of course, something else went wrong. One of the damaged Kelthrin warships fired a spread of tracking mines. They scattered across the space between them and the jump point. Small, hard to detect, designed to home in on any ship that passed. "They're boxing us in," Dae-sung said. "Can't go forward because of the mines. Can't stay here because everyone in the sector is coming for us." Ji-won appeared in the doorway again. "Then we go through the mines. They'll explode the moment we get close. Not if they forget we're here." She sat in the jump seat behind the pilots. "I'm getting better at this. I can feel how it works. It's about attention. What things pay attention to. If I can make the mines not notice us, we can slip past." Dae-sung exchanged a look with Hyun-woo. They didn't have many options. "Okay," he said. "We try it your way." He set course straight for the minefield. The mines began to activate, their sensors picking up the Taeguk's approach. Warning lights flashed on the console. Ji-won closed her eyes and concentrated. Sweat beaded on her forehead. The ship entered the minefield. The mines drifted past them. Close. Too close. One came within meters of the hull, but none of them detonated. They just floated by, their sensors looking right through the Taeguk as if it wasn't there. "It's working," Hyun-woo whispered. "They're ignoring us." They cleared the minefield. The jump point was ahead. Dae-sung activated the FTL drive. Space twisted around them. Stars stretched into lines. The Taeguk jumped. They were away. Safe. For now. Ji-won collapsed in the jump seat. Dae-sung left Hyun-woo at the controls and went to her. She was unconscious but breathing. He checked her pulse. Strong. Steady. "Is she okay?" Hyun-woo asked. "She will be. She used too much energy." Dae-sung lifted her carefully and carried her to a cabin. He laid her on the bed and covered her with a blanket. She looked peaceful now. Young. It was easy to forget she was supposed to be one of the most dangerous beings in the galaxy. He returned to the cockpit. They were traveling through the faster-than-light corridor. They had hours before they needed to pick a destination. "What do we do now?" Hyun-woo asked. Dae-sung sat in the pilot's chair and stared at the swirling colors of FTL space. "We can't go to Earth. The Kelthrin will follow us there. They'll demand her return. Earth's government might even hand her over to avoid a war." "Then where?" "I don't know yet." He pulled up a star map. "But while we figure it out, I'm going to find out how many more people like Ji-won are out there. How many more humans are sitting in cages being sold like weapons." "That's a dangerous road," Hyun-woo warned. "I know." Dae-sung looked back toward the cabin where Ji-won slept. "But someone has to walk it. Those people deserve freedom. They deserve to know what they are. And the galaxy needs to learn that humans aren't cargo." Hyun-woo nodded slowly. "Then I'm with you. I know people, researchers, scientists who study this kind of thing quietly. We can build a network, find others." "Good, because this is just the beginning." Dae-sung turned back to the controls. The Kelthrin wanted to keep humans weak and ignorant, but Ji-won is free now, and soon others will be too. Behind them, their trail through space slowly faded. But the message they had sent was clear. Somewhere in the galaxy, a caged human had been freed, and she had shown the universe exactly why she had been locked away. The hunt was over. Now, the real work began. Ji-won woke 3 days later. She found herself in a clean bed in a quiet room, with no cage on her head. For a moment, she thought it had all been a dream. 7 years of imprisonment, then rescue, then escape. It seemed too good to be real. But when she sat up and touched her face, she felt the scars where the metal had pressed into her skin. It was real. All of it. She found Dae-sung in the common area of the ship. He was reviewing data on multiple screens. Hyun-woo sat nearby, making notes on a datapad. They both looked up when she entered. "You're awake," Dae-sung said. "How do you feel?" "Strange, clear. Like I've been asleep my whole life and just woke up. She sat down carefully. Her body still felt weak, but her mind was sharp. Sharper than it had ever been. What happened after I passed out? We escaped. We're in neutral space now. Safe. For the moment. He gestured to the screens. We've been researching. Looking for others like you. Ji-Wan looked at the data. Pictures of humans. Files marked classified. Reports from various alien agencies. All of them were about awakened humans. People with abilities. People who had disappeared or been captured. How many? She asked. We've found records of at least 24, Hyun-woo said. Maybe more. Most were captured years ago. Some are still being held in alien prisons. Others were sold on black markets like you. We have to get them out, Ji-Wan said immediately. That's the plan, Dae-sung said. But it won't be easy. These people are scattered across the galaxy. Some are held by military forces, others are in private collections, and all of them are considered extremely dangerous. Because we are dangerous, Ji-Wan said quietly. She looked at her hands. I can feel it inside me, this power. When I used it to stop those ships, it felt so easy. Too easy. Like I could have done so much more if I wanted to. That's what they're afraid of, Hyun-woo said. An awakened human at full strength could destroy cities. Maybe more. The aliens built their empires on technology. But you can affect reality directly. You can make their weapons forget how to fire. Make their ships forget how to fly. That's power they can't defend against. Then we need to be careful, Ji-Wan said. We can't prove them right. We can't become the monsters they think we are. Agreed, Dae-sung said. Which is why we need a plan. We're going to free the others, but we're going to do it smart. No unnecessary violence, no massacres. We show the galaxy that awakened humans can be trusted. Over the following weeks, they built a network. Hyun-woo contacted other scientists and researchers who had quietly studied the awakened phenomenon. They found sympathetic aliens who disagreed with their government's policies. They recruited former soldiers and smugglers who had reasons to oppose the major powers. Their first rescue mission targeted a slave market on the edge of Kelthran space. Intelligence suggested 3 caged humans were being held there. They went in small. Just Dae-sung, Ji-Wan, and 2 others. A human pilot named Bo-Ra and an alien smuggler named Krill, who owed Dae-sung a favor. They posed as buyers and made their way to the holding cells. The 3 humans were in cages similar to what Ji-Wan had worn. Head sealed, hands bound, eyes hollow from years of drugs. But when Ji-Wan approached them, something changed. The awakened could sense each other. Even through the suppressants, they knew she was there. I was like you, Ji-Wan told them quietly. But I'm free now, and you will be too. The rescue was quick. Hyun-woo had built devices that could disrupt the cage power sources. They freed all 3 humans within minutes. But the alarm went up fast. Guards converged on their position. Stay behind me, Ji-Wan said. She stepped forward to face the guards. The guards raised weapons, energy rifles, stun batons, all designed to stop a normal person. Ji-Wan raised her hand and the weapons became too heavy to lift. The guards struggled, trying to hold on to rifles that suddenly weighed as much as boulders. They dropped them. Some tried to run. Their legs wouldn't move properly. It was like trying to run through thick water. We're leaving, Ji-Wan announced. Don't try to follow us. They escaped with all 3 humans. On the ship, as the newly freed people recovered from their cages, one of them spoke. His name was Tai-min. He had been imprisoned for 15 years. I thought I would die in that cage, he said. His voice was rough from disuse. I thought everyone had forgotten about us. No one should be forgotten, Dae-sung said, and no one should be caged. As Tai-min and the others recovered, their abilities began to manifest. Tai-min could move through solid objects as if they weren't there. One of the others, a woman named Su-jin, seemed to experience time differently. She could see a few seconds into the future, dodging dangers before they happened. The third, a young man named Young-Ho, discovered he could interface with electronic systems just by thinking about them. We're all different, Ji-won realized. The power manifests differently in each person. Which makes sense, Hyunwoo said. You're not using a single ability. You're manipulating reality itself according to your individual nature. Of course, it would be different for each person. They conducted more rescues. Each one brought new awakened into their growing community. Each one taught them more about what they could do, and each one made the major galactic powers more nervous. 6 months after Ji-won's rescue, their network had freed 37 awakened humans. They established a hidden base on an abandoned station in unclaimed space. It became a sanctuary, a place where freed humans could recover, learn to control their abilities, and decide their own futures. Not everyone joined the rescue efforts. Some just wanted to live quiet lives after years of imprisonment. Daesung supported that. This wasn't about building an army. It was about giving people choices they had been denied. But many did choose to help. They formed rescue teams. They gathered intelligence. They planned operations with the precision of a military unit and the compassion of people who understood suffering. The galactic powers responded with fear and anger. Some demanded humanity hand over all awakened individuals. Others proposed extreme solutions. There was talk of war, of preemptive strikes against human colonies, of extermination. But there were also voices of reason. Aliens who argued that humans deserved the same rights as any other species. That the awakened weren't weapons or monsters, but people who had been wronged. The debate raged across news channels and government chambers. And through it all, the rescues continued. 1 year after her rescue, Ji-won stood before the gathered community of freed awakened. They had transformed the old station into a real home. Gardens grew in the hydroponics bays. Children played in the corridors, born free. People laughed and talked and planned futures that had once seemed impossible. I want to tell you something, Ji-won said. Everyone quieted to listen. When I was in that cage, I thought I was alone. I thought the universe had forgotten about me, that I would die without ever feeling the sun on my face or speaking my own name. She paused, looking around at all the faces that had known the same despair, the same hopelessness. But I was wrong. The universe hadn't forgotten. People like Daesung hadn't forgotten. And now we're here. 37 of us. 37 people who were told we were too dangerous to be free, who were locked away and sold like objects. Her voice grew stronger. They caged us because they were afraid of what we could become. And you know what? They were right to be afraid. But not because we're monsters. Because we're free. Because we refuse to be victims anymore. Because we're standing here, together, and saying no one else will wear a cage. The gathered people stood. Some applauded. Others just smiled, tears running down their faces. They understood. Every one of them understood what it meant to be free after being property. Daesung watched from the back of the room. He had come to Kesh 7 looking for weapons. Instead, he had found something more important. Purpose. And maybe redemption for all the years he had spent fighting other people's wars. You did this, Hyunwoo said, standing next to him. You started all of this. No, Daesung replied. I just bought a girl from a slaver. She did the rest. They all did. In orbit above them, ships came and went. Some brought new rescued humans, still weak from their cages. Others departed carrying awakened individuals who had chosen to return to human space and help from there. The network grew larger every day. The galaxy would never be the same. For centuries, the major powers had controlled everything through technology and military might. But now, there was something new. Something they couldn't control or predict or suppress. Humans who could reshape reality with their minds. Humans who refused to be caged. Humans who stood together and demanded to be treated as people, not weapons. The age of cages was ending, and the galaxy was learning, slowly and reluctantly, that humanity was not something to be bought, sold, or imprisoned. They were something far more dangerous than the aliens had feared. They were free. And in a universe that had tried to chain them, freedom was the most powerful weapon of all.